Welcome to Safe and Sound, sponsored by White Mountain Fire and Life Safety. Today on the show, we have Rosalva Zimmerman, the program manager for the Navajo County Team Health Program. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to tell everybody about the Teen Health Program. So I want to start off with, who are you and what you do for Navajo County Public Health District?
Well, as you said, I'm the program manager for Navajo County Public Health, and the Teen Health Program within the Public Health District has been around since 2008, and primarily we function to go into schools and speak to teens and preteens about prevention, prevention of pregnancy, prevention of STDs, prevention of the heartache that might come if there are some unplanned consequences associated with early initiation of sexual activity. So we have what's called an Abstinence Plus program, which means our primary message to teens is, at this age, it's really important for you to delay sexual activity for a number of reasons. And STDs is certainly one of them. Pregnancy prevention is another. But we also want them to really focus on planning for their future more intentionally, even from a very early age, junior high, 6th grade, when we can get in to speak to those classes of students. They need to understand that decisions they're making today could potentially impact their future for a lifetime, whether it's contracting an STD that might, if it's viral in nature, it will be with them for life. We can treat symptoms, but we can't cure it. And so that could impact not just their physical health, but their emotional health and future relationships that they might want to get into. But this, virus or disease that they've contracted could follow them forever. So we want them to understand that. And we just lay out the facts about it, medically based facts, so that they can make really good choices for themselves, along with input from their parents, to really secure a good, healthy future all the way around.
Now, and you're in certain schools throughout Navajo County?
Yes, actually we've been in the Holbrook High School since the very beginning, since 2008. We've had great success there. The teens are very receptive to the program. We work with 2 great PE teachers there, and we're there every semester and have touched literally every freshman class that has been in Holbrook High School since 2008. And we're pretty proud of that because Holbrook High School has among the lowest teen pregnancy rates in the county, because we believe they really have internalized that information, and it's helped them make some good choices for themselves. And then they pass that information on to their peers.
Yeah, I know Holbrook, I became familiar with Holbrook High School when I was working out of Holbrook. Mm-hmm. And I have to say that they're the most innovative out of any of the high schools up here. I'm sorry, this is my personal opinion, but they're accepting of all this information. They want to be able to educate their kids to make better choices. I was in emergency management for a while, and their emergency management programs were amazing. I think that a lot of the other schools could reach out to them and get a lot of great information and available programs to them that Holbrook High School is benefiting from.
Exactly. And we've been in Winslow High School, kind of hit and miss. It doesn't always work with their scheduling. And so some years we can get in and some years we can't. But if we, there's kind of a complicated formula, but essentially the Arizona Department of Health Services breaks down community health assessment areas into what we call CHAs, and that's what Community Health Assessment Area stands for. And those CHAs, there's 126 of them in the state of Arizona, and it breaks down populations by similar size. And in the CHA that is representative of Winslow and the CHA that's representative of Holbrook, In the 15 to 19-year-old female range, there's essentially, in the last reporting cycle, about a 7% difference. Winslow having 7 more girls than Holbrook does, so fairly similar population. And yet in Holbrook, they have exactly half the number of teen births or teen pregnancies as they do in Winslow. And I really feel that it's because in Holbrook we've had a consistent message there, and that's been passed among peers. And they really reinforce that positive choice not either to be sexually active or to be protective if they're going to be sexually active. So we really feel like that's a success story because we can see in the numbers, clear data, that a consistent message really helps them make a good choice. We started in Blue Ridge High School 2 years ago, and because of scheduling and whatnot, we were not able to get in this last year, but we intend to go in this coming school year that will start fall of 2015. So that will be another important step in this area. Right now we are not currently in the Show Low or Snowflake schools, but we would really love to have a conversation with those schools about getting in with our information there. We have a program at Sequoia Village School, we are at Northern Arizona Academy, and we're also at the Juvenile Detention Center.
Now, when you were talking about the previous statistics about Holbrook and Winslow, is there statistics for the other schools that could help facilitate you guys your program coming in there? I mean, if somebody saw their numbers and went, "Whoa, we do have a problem. We could benefit from this."
It's not for the school itself, but
Okay.
it's for the assessment area. So I believe Snowflake Taylor and Hebert Overgaard are one assessment area. I believe. I'm not certain if Show Low is its own health assessment area or if it's combined with Blue Ridge. So those numbers would be a little bit skewed simply because the area is a little different, and those communities are combined, whereas in Winslow and Holbrook, it's very distinctive populations because they don't share their area with anyone else.
That makes sense.
So, but there is definitely data that could support good reasons for them to get this information because contrary to what people believe, there's a lot of misinformation about teen sexual health, and I think people believe primarily that if you talk about it with teenagers, that's going to just encourage them to go out and become sexually active. And it's actually quite the contrary. When we talk to them about it, we give them the facts, we show them the good reasons why it would be great to wait or be more protective, be more cautious if they are sexually active. Then they make a choice that's healthier for them not to become active or to delay if they've already initiated sexual activity, or then to choose to be protective if they decide to continue. But if they do continue, we make sure they understand there are real risks involved. Abstinence is the only 100% effective way to keep from those heartaches we talked about, from the potential of a pregnancy or contracting an STD. And I like to tell the kids, if you don't play with fire, you're not going to get burned. If you're playing with it, then the potential is there. And that's the same way with teen sexual health. If you are making a choice to be abstinent, then you don't have to worry. But if you're involved in risky behaviors, then your risk really does, just increase tremendously. And we want to help them avoid that.
Through prevention, and I did talk to you earlier about fire prevention, and that all you're doing is educating in prevention.
Exactly.
And any education in prevention, the reason it's there and what it does is it helps prevent that situation from happening.
Right.
And it's A plus B equals C. It's prevention.
And it gives them good information for them to base their decision on. It's not just, well, I'm going to follow the crowd because everybody's doing it. Well, in reality, not everybody is doing it. Less than 50% of high school students are actually sexually involved. So we want them to understand you're not alone if you choose to be abstinent. You're not alone if you want to protect your future. And until they really hear that and see the hard facts about it, it really doesn't hit home. And so just getting that information really helps them understand, yeah, I'm making a good choice for my future. And I'm securing something for myself. The other thing that we really like to do is make sure that kids understand the information we give them. We hope that it is going to spur conversation at home. We want parents to be able to share their expectations and values. And so if kids are coming home and suddenly saying, in my class today, we learned this. What do you know about it? Or what choice did you make at this age when you found out this particular fact? And we really hope it spurs conversation with parents, because parents might not often feel entirely comfortable just starting that big talk. And we want parents to understand that we're not here to influence them one way or the other. We're just laying out facts, and we want them to then convey their expectations with their kids and start that conversation if they haven't already, because it's not just one talk about the birds and the bees. It should be a lifetime progression of information that they share with their kids in a developmentally appropriate way. You know, of course, not going to tell, your toddler or your first grader everything, but it's a progression of information, so that by the time they're beginning to feel these different feelings at puberty, they kind of understand what's going on, and they also understand what their parents expect and hope for their future.
Now, previously you talked about 6th grade. Is that the grade that you usually start these programs in? Is it 6th grade?
Well, traditionally we have started at the high school level, and we've done some junior high work. This year, we actually started a pilot program over at Blue Ridge Middle School with the 6th graders. We just completed that, and it was so well received. The kids had so many questions. They were completely engaged. They loved the program. And for many of them, I think it was the first time any adults had really given them permission to ask questions, and the first time that they had received good information that was medically accurate. And from what we hear from feedback from the students, it has spurred those conversations that we were hoping it would. And there's probably some parents out there that are wondering, how do we now answer these questions, because we've never been faced with this before. But that's a good problem to have. That's a good issue to face, because we want those conversations to be taking place. And so we're really hoping that we'll continue with that program, because getting them at 6th grade, right at the earliest stages of puberty, or right prior to it for some, because we know it happens at different times for different people, getting those answers, those questions answered before they start feeling these strange feelings is really important, and helping them to understand what's happening with their bodies and how they should take care of their bodies, and how that's just going to help them for the future. So getting them at that early age is really important.
Are these classes co-ed?
No.
Okay.
Anything below high school level has to be gender specific, so we separate them. In high school, it is a mixed group, and that's actually an interesting dynamic, because then guys and girls get to hear what the other half is feeling. And we talk about relationships a lot. We talk about healthy relationships. We talk about unhealthy relationships. What are some aspects or characteristics of each? And then they get to decide what a healthy relationship looks like, and how they can help their friends identify that also.
That's good, because there's a connection there, instead of boys and girls over here.
Right.
And that's important, to have that, because a lot of, like you said, a lot of disconnect happens with, this is the girl side, this is the boys. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus, all that stuff. When we live on the same planet,
Right.
It should be the same thing. How involved are parents in these?
Not nearly as much as we'd like them to be. We certainly, entertain phone calls from them, or we speak to them at public events. We have tried for a number of years to get a parent program going here that would start out as education. One, primarily, we have a very good program. It's a evidence-based, proven effective program called Active Parenting of Teens. And my staff and I are all certified trainers. And it's a 6-session program that takes you all through the special challenges of the teen years, how to deal with teen issues. And then there are 2 sessions at the end of it that are really focused on risk-taking behaviors. One is sexual activity, the other is substance abuse, and other risky things like how to help your teen make a decision about getting into a car with someone who's been at the party with them that may have been drinking, or You know, what sort of a plan are you going to make with your teenager before they get confronted with a risky situation? So it's a really great program. We've advertised it for a number of years, and we've never really had any takers for it,
Wow.
which is unfortunate because it's great information, and we would love to have more parents involved.
I want to sign up. Honestly, I mean, my daughter's only 7, but we sit there and Rob and I think, man, how I don't want to say anything that messes her up.
Well, I mean, that's wise. You plan for the situation before you're confronted with it, because too often we're hearing from parents after their first conversation with us is, I just found out my daughter's pregnant. What do I do? Where do I go? And that shouldn't be when we're having that first conversation. We are all about prevention. We'd really love to get that information to them well ahead of time so that they feel really comfortable in not only conveying that information or their expectations to their teen, but so that they feel comfortable just even discussing it and having, just some tools in their toolbox to deal with it. Because again, we don't get an instruction manual for any part of parenting.
Absolutely.
And so all the input you can get, especially from a program like that is proven effective, and literally millions of people have gone through the program and have been satisfied with the way it has helped them in their parenting. Everybody could use those skills. How do
they get involved in that program?
They can certainly contact me at the health district. My number is 532-6050, and then you have to hit option 1 and then extension 5532. And if I'm not in the office, you can certainly leave me a voicemail. I am going to be submitting some PSAs to local media so that we can advertise it again. We usually do those programs in the summer because our school schedule eases up a bit. And if we could get a parent group for this summer, that would be wonderful.
Well, I'm signing up.
Good.
I know my daughter's only 7, but I'd like to be well versed in this, because it's, like I said, the last thing you want to do is tell your kids something that's not factual, and because then you lose that trust with them, and if they find out.
And that's a really good point that you make, because we understand parents are so busy just being parents and being husbands and wives and workers and friends and neighbors that they don't have time to be researching this information. They don't know the latest trends. They don't know what's going on in the world of teen sexual health. And that's all my staff and I do. We're grant funded to just do that program. So we get the latest information. We have the best statistics to share. We have all those things that they really need in their toolbox to be able to be successful in this thing called parenting teens. So we would like to share that information with them. As part of the pilot project at Blue Ridge Middle School, we had a parent meeting prior to it so that we could answer any questions they might have, show them the program materials. We had, I think, about 8 parents showed up, and we were happy that those parents were engaged, but there were like 114 kids in that program. We would have liked to have seen more parents. Tonight, actually, we're having the second post meeting from the program, so we can now share with the parents the information that the kids shared with us, the questions they asked, what they were curious about, what we taught them in class, let them see that information again, and then we're going to share our post-survey results with them of the kids' impressions of the program. So that should be an interesting time. And we're going to share a little bit of brain development information. There's a tremendous amount of work going on in the adolescent brain, and for them to get that information might also help them as they deal with their teenagers who are going through hormonal surges and all sorts of other challenges. Yeah.
It's a sock. It doesn't need to match. I've been there. Now, and parents do need to get, you're absolutely correct. Parents need to be more invested in their children's future. It's not the school's responsibility to teach their kids. It's to help. Absolutely. It's not your responsibility to just teach their kids. It's a group. You get together. You have to have support throughout. The school supports their education, and then they get their education supported at home, so that the kids can actually benefit from the program. Like you said, it needs to be talked about at home as well, so it doesn't end.
Right.
And sometimes it just takes that repetition with the kids. Where do you usually hold the parenting classes?
Well, we have scheduled them in the past over at the Frontier Conference Room at the Health District on 9th Place, just off of the Deuce of Clubs. There are other sites around town that have been willing to open up their space. The White Mountain Youth Center has offered their facility also. So there's a number of places where we're going to look to see where our parent population is coming from and then try to make it easy for them to get there.
What would you recommend the age group of kids, like parents who have kids from this age to this age, should come?
I would really recommend anyone who has a child 6th grade and up
Okay.
is a good age for them to be thinking about this information and could really benefit. But if there are some who have younger children, say 4th or 5th grade, we'd welcome them also. Just same thing you're saying, being prepared before you hit that point.
Oh, absolutely.
And we know that I've been doing parent support and family behavioral coaching for a number of years, long before I was with Navajo County. And we know that a lot of times, though it's taxing at first and it's a chore to think about having to add one more thing to your schedule, once parents are engaged, they absolutely love this information, and it's not hard for them to come back. Once they get, just their toe dipped in the water to see what it's about, they're really interested in it. And then they will tell friends. And before we know it, even after the program ends, some of them are saying, you know what, we need to get together on a regular basis just to shoot ideas off each other. And then a support group is born because they have a shared challenge, and having someone to share that with and bounce ideas off of another person really helps. So we like to see that happen, and it usually is just kind of organic within the group that occurs through no action of ours, and it's a nice outcome.
Especially to have somebody you relate to, like, oh, my kid's not the only one that does that.
Yes.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, because a lot of times if we're not doing that talking, we are isolated, and we think we're the only family that's facing this challenge, or my kid must be the only one that's dealing with this. No, there are so many others. We just need to be able to kind of tear down those walls and be willing to discuss it with other people, because you'll find there's a lot more out there that are facing those same challenges.
And it's parents. Parents have to be involved in their children's relationship. They don't send them to school to get babysat. They don't send them to your program to get babysat. It's to educate. They have to show that they have an interest as well. So the kids look up to their parents. They want to see that this is important.
Right.
I'm very involved in Audrey's life, and so is my husband. And sometimes I feel a little bad because we're the hovers.
Helicopter parents.
Yes, that's
we
what it's
talk
called.
about that in the program.
But it's true, and I mean, I think that helicopter parents are better than no parent. No, just like whatever, you're going to school, get it done. I mean, but it is so important that this starts with the parents. The schools are part of it, but the parents, I mean, if this program's not in a school, the parents need to get together and say, this is important for our kids.
Right. And as we go around the community to different events, and people come up to our table or our booth and ask what we do, we share that, and they're like, you need to be in our child's school. Well, we know, but it's a little difficult. It's a sensitive subject, and not everybody's comfortable with it. And again, there's that huge misconception that if you talk about it, it's going to encourage them to do it. And it's exactly the opposite. I can't tell you the number of students who, even of those who have been sexually active in the past, as they hear about our information, by the end of the program, they come up to us and they say, I'm going to make a choice to delay this. I'm going to make a choice to stop, or I'm going to make a choice to think more about this, because you've given me a lot of information that I never knew before. And we're hearing really positive feedback like that more kids are delaying or just choosing to be more cautious because they've got good information now. And that never hurts anyone.
No,
and really, we're not trying to make that decision for them. We're just sharing the facts as they are, and then they come to those conclusions themselves, which is a tremendous thing. And again, we just want to reinforce, our program is designed to have parents be able to become involved and share their expectations. It's a great opening. And we tell the kids, hey, go home and talk to your parents about this, because it's nice to know how they feel. If they've never shared the expectation with you, or maybe they have, but you don't know why, this is a good door opener for those conversations.
Well, and two things you said here is a lot of people are uncomfortable with the information, but you are comfortable with it. You can get it out there. Your program, that's what you
Right.
do. And the other thing parents need to understand is if you want your kids to be successful, you have to educate them and give them the tools to reach success.
Right.
And that's very important.
Because, let's just take teen pregnancy. We know that 9 out of 10 sexually active teen couples over the course of a year who aren't being very protective, 9 out of 10 of those couples, 90% of them, will end up pregnant by the end of that year. That is a
wow.
statistic we can definitely impact with information. We know that for teenagers who find themselves in that situation, 8 out of 10 of those teen fathers will not be around to help raise the child or contribute in any significant way, whether it's financially, emotionally, or otherwise, ever again. 8 out of 10. So we've got a generation of children being raised in single-parent homes where the risk for poverty is greatly increased, and they miss out on those important things that only fathers can contribute to the lives of their kids. And so we're talking generations that are impacted by that. And it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
We know that for every young boy who is born to a teen mother, he is twice as likely to end up incarcerated as an adolescent than boys who aren't. And for girls who are born to teen mothers, they are 3 times as likely to become teen mothers themselves. Those are statistics we can definitely change, but it's going to take education. People have to know this, and we have to stop being afraid of the subject just because it's uncomfortable. People need to be aware of that and make a choice to allow this information to be in their children's lives.
Well, Rosalba, thank you so much. This information was so good, and it will be well received, and I hope that you get some attention from the show. All right, thank you so much, and remember, get involved with your children, and we'll see you next time.